Let the record show that all 6 members of the Board of Finance are present. This hearing is being held consistent with Governor Lamont's Executive Order number 71, which prohibits municipalities from holding in-person meetings or referendums to approve their fiscal year 20 to 21 budgets, and mandates that their budgets be adopted by the respective budget-making authorities. In the case of Thompson, that is the Board of Finance. No official action will be taken by the Board of Finance this evening because this hearing is being held so that citizens may share their comments and ask questions. After this hearing, there will be a final budget meeting of the Board of Finance on June 1st for the purpose of officially adopting Thompson's fiscal year 20 to 21 budget and setting the mill rate. I want to thank everyone who has participated in this process, including members of the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, Board of Education, department heads in the town hall and the school, and the general public. Your involvement helps to strengthen our democratic institutions, which benefits all of us. Now, this hearing will be divided into 2 sections, and everyone will remain muted unless called upon to speak. The first section will be citizens' comments, and the second section will be questions and answers. Each will go for no more than an hour to ensure there is sufficient time for both. If there are no more citizens' comments prior to 8 p.m., then we will move on to questions and answers at that time. Now, during citizens' comments, anyone who wants to share their comments will write their name into the chat platform and hit send, thus creating a queue of citizens who want to comment. Starting with the first person in line and so on, the host of this Zoom meeting will unmute the next person in line, and that person will state his or her name and address, and will have a maximum of 3 minutes to share comments. Now, if you are participating in this hearing under the name of someone other than your own, I know sometimes a spouse will participate in this meeting, and it's the husband's name, but it's actually the wife who's in the meeting. So if you're participating under someone else's name, you will want to enter that name so that the host can find you. It's very important that the host be able to find you. Now, I will keep track of the 3-minute maximum. When there are 30 seconds left, I will say so, and when time is up, I will announce it. Only verbal comments will be accepted in this hearing so that we may be able to keep track of who is next in line, and also to make sure that everyone gets a maximum of 3 minutes. We want to be fair for everyone. So no comments written into the chat platform will be accepted. It's just for names. It's just so that people can get in line so that we can call upon them and they can share their comments. That's the way it would work if we were all gathered in an auditorium together right now. And so that's the way we're going to conduct it on this Zoom meeting platform. Now, I have received some emailed comments from citizens prior to this hearing, and I will go ahead and read them into the record because they did not have the benefit of knowing about these rules of conduct beforehand. So I will honor those emailed comments. But after that, we're just going to have people get in line and speak when called upon. Now, during the questions and answers section, anyone who has a question will proceed in the same manner. Enter your name into the chat platform and hit enter, so that way you get in line. Everyone who has a question will be called upon in the order of their name as it appears in line, just like with citizens' comments. And the host of this Zoom meeting will unmute the next person, and that person will be called upon to state his or her name and address, and then will be allowed to ask his or her question. We will try to get all questions answered, but there's no guarantee if by chance the best person to answer is not participating in this hearing. So right now, I'm going to, so that's basically the sort of the call to order and roll call section of this agenda. So now I'm going to move into citizens' comments, and people are welcome to enter their name into the chat platform while I read emails that have come in since the last meeting. And I'm reading them in order of when they were submitted. So, for example, this email was delivered May 11th at 6:59 p.m. So Matt Polsky of Thompson was not able to get this read in time for the last meeting because we didn't know about it. So I'll read it now. Again, May 11th, 6:59 p.m. Good evening, Board of Finance members. I'm writing to see what can be done to keep the Thompson budgets as close to what was proposed by the writers as possible. I have listened to the recent Board of Finance budget workshops and get the feeling that the BOF is only interested in catering to the portion of the population that actively fights against funding anything. I do not want my taxes to go up any more than anyone else does. I also recognize that the economy has changed significantly in the past 2 months. The national economy cannot always be the answer to our town budget issues. The town budgets have not replaced funding since the Great Recession, and the economy rebounded, including great gains in the stock markets. I would like to live in a society that educates its children beyond 8th grade, as well as a town that can pave its roads. We have 2 children who recently finished and will shortly finish 8th grade at TMS and have been impressed with the resourcefulness of the education department, teachers and administrators who constantly do their best to do more with less. However, in the past several years, we're really getting the feeling that more with less is becoming less with less, as we have gone past the line of great value for the least amount of funding possible. In a short time, we will be losing staff and suffering significant infrastructure damage due to funding neglect. How do we, as concerned citizens who can look beyond the next 12 months, go to the broader future, convince the BOF and the constituency that elects the no tax members to maintain our town? The budgets are not a wish list, but a list of expenses to maintain minimum standards of education and civil infrastructure. I do not have email addresses for any BOF members handy, but look to you, our elected community leaders, to help stop the ruination of our community by a few people determined on its destruction. Please feel free to forward this email directly to any BOF or BOS members that you feel can truly help us pass this implosion. Additionally, I feel it is very important that we have citizen ballot voting on our budgets this year. Respectfully submitted, Matthew Polsky Thompson. Okay. The next one comes from Erica Grow. This is May 12th, 3:04 p.m. Going to pause to take a drink of water. I would like to share a couple comments. First, it was stated that boards were not asked to make concessions and cuts to their budgets. Excuse me. First, it was stated that boards were asked to make concessions and cuts to their budgets. As chairman of the BAA, I was not approached to do this. My budget increase request for the BAA, which is so small in the big picture, was totally slashed without any discussion requested of me. I have no problem giving up a raise for myself and my board, but I'm disappointed the $600 total increase request was slashed without even knowing what it was. The secretary on that board gets paid per meeting. I had requested a small $10 per meeting increase for her. In the grand scheme of things, I'm disappointed her $10 per meeting was slashed. This session in a revaluation year, we were swamped with almost 30 appointments in April in the middle of COVID-19. The secretary set up all the appointments, explained how to navigate onto Zoom to Thompson citizens, the majority of whom were elderly, as well as performed many duties outside the scope of our meetings. These added hours. This session for her was over 20 hours. She did not get paid for those 20 hours because she only gets paid for meetings. If her $10 per meeting can be put back in, which totals $120, I would appreciate that. That will not make up for her working all the hours this time not getting paid, but it would help. Also, as an educator, I would just like to mention something that members of this board might not be aware of. I'm not sure if you realize all the money that teachers have spent out of their own pocket while successfully doing the distance learning. I'm not complaining because we do what we have to do, but I personally need to upgrade my router. That costs around $150. The electricity, Wi-Fi, etc. all adds up. Like most of us at TPS, we have spent a lot of money out of our pocket to make sure we were successfully teaching. If anyone thinks we have not made concessions, we have paid for all these things without question. These are challenging times, and I get the concern about citizens not being able to vote, but some things are too important to cut, and your large cut to our educational budget is one of those areas. Thank you, Erica Grow, 183 Wage Road. This one comes from Susan Emerson Hill, May 12, 3:26 p.m. As follows. Given the fact that, according to Dr. Fauci, schools may need to remain closed this fall due to the epidemic, is it not somewhat preliminary and presumptuous at this point to consider increasing property taxes to further fund the school? Here is what Fauci said. Dr. Fauci rebelled Tuesday morning that a return to school in the fall would be a bit of a bridge too far during a Senate committee hearing. News of likely continued homeschooling for the next school year will probably be met with groans and frustration by harried parents struggling to balance work from home and also managing remote learning and having their children home 100% of the time. Respectfully, Susan Emerson Hill. This one comes to us on Tuesday, May 12, 4:27 p.m. This is from Mary Eames, 20 Labonte Road. Dear Chairman McGarry, this is my contribution to citizens' comments at the budget hearing on Thursday, May 14, 2020. The suggestion was made at the last Board of Finance meeting on Monday, May 11, 2020, to remove the $350,000 for sports from the school budget since we won't be able to do sports due to COVID-19. The reaction of the school superintendent was over the top, and I wondered why. Reflecting on my experience with past school budgets, I remembered that they are not responsible to account for where or how they spend the line item dollars. They are only responsible to say, we spent the total amount of money in the budget. This is why the townspeople mistrust the school budgets when they are first presented, because of the lack of line item responsibility. So why did the school superintendent get so upset at the idea of cutting $350,000 from sports? That's simple. She wants that line item left in full so she can use those dollars for something else, perhaps to add to salaries so she doesn't have to lay off those 6 to 8 people she insists that she will have to lay off. You might say that is part of her slush fund planning. That's what has always been done in the past, and why the townspeople don't trust the Board of Education and the school budget. Wouldn't it just have been nice if the school superintendent was honest with us and simply told the Board of Finance that she would prefer to move that $350,000 to personnel, salaries, etc., to save jobs? However, it is so sad that the school superintendent prefers to shame the townspeople by saying that we made her lay off people instead of simply asking to add the $350,000 to the personnel budget to save jobs. That way she can be the hero when she finds the extra money, quote unquote, in the budget to save those jobs. Think about it. My thanks go out to you and the current Board of Finance members for working so hard to be reasonable for the townspeople during this crisis caused by COVID-19 and all its repercussions and layoffs. Again, that's Mary Eames, 20 Labonte Road. She is a former member of the Board of Finance. Okay, May 13, 10:06 a.m. This is from Cynthia Antos. To the Board of Finance, it has been brought to my attention that you have not approved the following for Thompson Recreation: park maintenance, light repair, graffiti cleanup at Heritage Way, no picnic table, and bench replacement. These items were not accepted or approved. I am always for the utmost for safety for the parks. We have to make sure of this. I was wondering any way possible that at least be light repairs done. Thank you for your time. If not too much, maybe a bench to sit on. Cynthia Antos, Thompson Recreation, Vice Chair. May 13, 10:51 a.m. This is from Jessica Bolte, 1081 Riverside Drive. I've spent the last 2 days since the meeting on Monday writing, deleting, writing, censoring myself, trying to figure out what to say and how to phrase it to make an impact, to make a change in this board. And it's apparent, especially after listening to all the comments on Monday, that any change for the better will not occur with the current board members we have. I run a very active Girl Scout troop here in town. 85% of my girls are in the TPS system. The rest are from outlying towns. My older troop, 2nd and 3rd graders, spent a month worth of meetings with different board members in town, learning what the boards do, how they work together, and how the town runs. I can honestly say what was discussed by board members in our Girl Scout meetings to what I've witnessed here in BOF budget meetings is the complete opposite of what is supposed to happen. How are we as residents, as those raising children or raising their grandchildren, supposed to teach them about social responsibility? Our children and grandchildren need to know that it's not just enough to vote, but to know what you are voting for, understanding the process, etc. How are we supposed to show them how the processes work if those in power aren't following those processes or listening? As a parent, I'm appalled at the drastic and unnecessary cuts to the school system. They're making dangerous decisions that will affect the health and welfare of our children and grandchildren. As a resident, I'm appalled at the cuts to the town side. We cannot grow, bring in business, have a successful school if these are not supported appropriately. As a town, we cannot wait for someone else to come and rescue us. We have to do the work. I've watched the last 5 years of budgets. It was cut, cut, cut. These were years where we've had the best economy ever. So where was the funding then? The mentality of picking an arbitrary number and slicing and dicing to get to it doesn't work. It doesn't work in a normal household budget. It doesn't work in a business budget, and it doesn't work in a municipal budget. You're all parents and some grandparents, and I ask, parent to parent, is what would you want for your children? Would you want them to have opportunities in quality education? You know the answer to that is yes. You have the ability to make this fair. Fair is not just cutting to match percentage points. Fair is restoring the cuts to the town fringe benefits. Fair is giving the BOE budget an increase of their insurance costs, some of which are driven by the town. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you, Jessica Bolte, 1081 Riverside Drive. May 14, 4:21 a.m. Ties or subject, please support our next generation. Message, I don't know what I can do other than be another voice, but being a graduate of the Thompson Public Schools several years ago, running sports all 3 seasons, and knowing that education is one of the most important aspects of life. If there is anything I can do to help with this, because just like myself, I want my kids to have the same opportunities as we all did as kids. And then she gives her email address and telephone number and says, let me know what I can do, please. I won't share her email address and telephone because she probably didn't intend for that to be read out loud to a public hearing. May 14, 9:42 a.m. This comes from Dan and Maria Jezierski. Subject, mill rate. I think you should pass as close to a flat budget as possible. Most people's taxes are going up because of the revaluation, and then to put an extra burden on them by raising the mill rate by more than the 0.26 increase that has been proposed would be a hardship for a lot of people during this pandemic. So I'm asking you to please keep the proposed increase as low as possible. Sincerely, Dan and Maria Jezierski. This one is dated May 14, 12:38 p.m. This comes from Ken Bosaway, 21 Walker Drive. This has been a budget season no one could see coming. Attempting to review a budget from our homes via Zoom has been a challenge to say the least. The BOF has been directed by the governor's executive order to finalize the budget without going to referendum. As with any budget, there is a fine balance, trying to provide services, maintain infrastructure, and provide an education to our youth while keeping Thompson moving forward. This evening, we have an opportunity to express our thoughts and give the input to the BOF so that they can craft a budget that meets the needs of everyone for the coming fiscal year and keep Thompson moving forward. Thank you. Again, that's Ken Bosaway, 21 Walker Drive. Next one is May 14, 1:31 p.m. This comes from Daniel Carlson, 3 Rachel Drive. Throughout the budget workshop meetings, there has been a lot of discussion about the economic turmoil and unemployment increases we are experiencing and facing as a nation because of COVID-19. Due to these concerns expressed by BOF and community members, there is a proposal of significant budget cuts for both the school and town side. I cannot argue that the economic turmoil and high unemployment rates are not a reality for a lot of people. I have been unemployed since 3/20 and can return to work next week. I will be a part of the phase 1 to reopen the economy. Many people will be returning to work over the next few months as our economy reopens. If we do not increase funding to our school, one of the largest employers in our town, there will be citizens losing their jobs that will be completely eliminated. There is no phase or reopening date for them. Their job is gone. We have spent much time talking about the devastation of loss of jobs, and yet there is support on this BOF to do just that. If we pass the budget proposed last week, it will result in the loss of employment for some of our dedicated school staff. That will be a direct impact to our local economy and community. That will drive our local unemployment rate up. I'm asking that you consider fully funding the fixed cost of insurance for both the town and school, as it has been covered in past budgets. We need support of our town and our townspeople of all ages more than ever during this time of uncertainty. Please be the light in this moment of darkness. Thank you. Again, that's Daniel Carlson, 3 Rachel Drive. This one is May 14, 3:18 p.m. Comes to us from Brittany Charbonneau, 56 Julia Avenue. Good afternoon, all. I just want to pass along my feedback on the budget. I find it unacceptable to propose such a drastic cut to the BOE budget. I do not feel a responsible budget is necessarily a flat one. This cut to the school feels like this will be detrimental to the school. This is my comment to the BOF last week, and I still feel the same, if not more disheartened. I also have signed and joined with other parents on a petition trying to override the BOF's decision, or in the very least have them reconsider it. A good school brings value to Thompson, and I'm discouraged that others in town are out to sabotage that. Again, Brittany Charbonneau, 56 Julia Avenue. Okay, that's what I received for citizens' comments through the email prior to this meeting. All right, I'm looking into the chat, and I'm looking for the first person who says that they would like to speak. Okay. This is Charlene Langlois, 369 Lowell Davis Road, North Rivendell, says, I have a comment. So Amy, if you can find Charlene Langlois and unmute her, that would be great.
Aaron, she's unmuted.
Yep. Hi. Hi, everybody.
Go ahead,
I just
Charlene.
wrote
Hi.
okay. I wrote a statement. I am a taxpayer. I've been sitting in on the budget meetings for 3 years. I am a taxpayer. I've watched and listened to children and adults ask and beg to do what is right for our town and our people. I am a taxpayer. I know it's been a tough 2 months, and I feel like we are basing this on these 2 months of terror. I am a taxpayer. With that, I don't want taxes to go up either. However, if they don't, we won't be able to care for our children or our town. I am a taxpayer. I know that when I'm paying my taxes, I'm looking for my return in new roads, a school system that is developing our children to carry on, and our town to be changing and welcoming families and businesses. I am a taxpayer. I don't want people to look at Thompson like some poor little town. I am a taxpayer. I know we have a great support system that helps the people in Thompson who are struggling, and some of our taxes pay for that. I know that times are hard, but they always will be. We don't make enough money to pay for the things that are constantly going up. Where does someone live that they don't pay for anything? Trying to keep our taxes as low as possible helps some people, but not making an investment in our town will hurt all of us. We save for things only to be given less money the next tax time, and when we need the money, it's not there because it was taken away and can never be given back. We have to stop thinking that everyone doesn't want to pay to live in their town. I use the transfer station, I pay the fee. Will it always be the fee that it is today? No, prices go up. We don't shut it down. We adjust the price, adjust what's important to us, and go to the transfer station. I may not use the school system, but when I did, someone else was contributing to my child's development by paying taxes, and now it's my turn to contribute to some of these children. Do I say, well, when my children went there and taxes weren't so high, I'll only give this much money? No, I adjust, and our children are benefiting. There is a price for everything, and nothing is free. We will pay for it one way or another, and I would like to know that paying for our town's future and our children's future was well worth it, and they will leave a legacy, and we will have continued to build a town that we call home. Thank you, and please reconsider looking at that budget.
Thank you, Charlene. Okay. Now we go down to Kathleen Herbert, 122 Wilsonville Road.
Kathleen's unmuted.
Thank you. This is
Go ahead,
Kathleen
Kathleen.
Herbert. Well said, Charlene. This is a society, a community. I listened to the comments. The Board of Finance said they are listening to the people and doing what they think the people want. Over a majority of the statements, comments made in last week's meeting were pro increasing taxes. They were pro school, they were pro town. Yet you cut the school, you cut the town. Now is not the time to script on the school budget or the town for that matter. We're moving into uncharted territories. What steps will be needed to open the school in September? Will additional busing be needed to accommodate social distancing? Will we need to have fewer children on buses? Will we need additional buses for that? Smaller classrooms, more cleaning supply? Will we need to supply masks to our children? These are all unknown things. Aaron, I looked at some statistics for the unemployment. I went to the Connecticut Department of Labor. We in Thompson are very lucky indeed. At the beginning of March, as of March 8th, we had an unemployment rate in Thompson of 3.7%. The week of March 8th, no unemployment claims were filed. The week of March 15th, that's when the stay-at-home orders began. We saw 47 unemployment claims. Through March up until May 3rd, there were only 4 unemployment claims filed. 233 unemployment claims were filed. So at the end of February, there were 201 unemployed people in Thompson. Add to that the 223 people, of a labor force, we have a labor force of 357 people. There is only a 7.9% unemployment rate in Thompson as of today. That's below the 17.9% nationwide. So you cannot use nationwide numbers to base your budget on. We have less than 8% unemployment in Thompson. And a lot of these people are now beginning to go back to work slowly. I understand that. And I feel badly for the people that have been unemployed. And I do know that they're not all going to go back to work immediately. But the people that will be laid off, if you do not restore some funding to the school, are not going to go back to work. And they are not the teachers. They are going to be the paraprofessionals. They are going to possibly be, I don't know who, I can't tell you who exactly, but they are going to be the people that may have a hard time finding positions someplace else. That's all I have to say. And please reconsider. Reconsider refunding the town's insurance, reconsider refunding the school's insurance, because this is not the time to cut on a budgeting request to either the town or the school. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next one is James Clark, 113 Labby Road.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Hello?
I can.
All right, excellent.
Go ahead, James.
Hello. All right, thank you. So I'm also a taxpayer here, James Clark, 113 Labby Road. I'm also on the Board of Assessment of Appeals. So after doing the math on my own house, my value went up on my home. My house used to have an assessment value of $193,100, and that was with the mill rate of $27.75. It resulted in a tax rate of $5,358.52. Now that the assessment of my house went up to about $233,500. I have no idea why it went up that high, because the only thing that was done to my property in the last 5 years was the pool was removed because it wasn't being used. And we put a patio on the same spot where the pool was, same exact size. And I have a third of my deck completely rotted away, completely unusable. So if anything, like, my property has either become damaged from repairs that weren't done on the deck. But anyway, so my house went up drastically with the mill rate of $233,500. If the mill rate becomes $24.23, then I will be paying an extra increase with my mortgage still alone. Right now, my wife now works for our company, Outpatient Mobile Solutions, during this time. And in fact, any money that the company makes, we can't take till our deficit is paid. We cannot cut ourselves a check yet from our company. If you check her and my salary from the company, Outpatient Mobile Solutions, we make no money off it because there is a deficit. And as a new company, the deficit must be paid off first. So we are not hit with taxes multiple times while paying back the debt. So the only level of actual income is from me working at the hospital at UMass. I don't even work in the state. I work outside the state. These times are difficult for everyone. This is the first year where technically only one of us between my wife and I have an income. If the mill rate becomes 26.50, my new yearly tax on my house at the minimal will be $6,187.75. I can't imagine others who are just scraping by having the additional tax increase for those homes that were reevaluated higher with an increased assessment like this. This could really hurt them technically with me having only one income for our household. We are having difficulties as it is because I'm the only one that's technically getting a paycheck at all. Never mind the other personal property to be taxed. Then when adding $500,000 to the school and town budget, the mill rate proposed will be $24.94, which will mean my house tax will be at $5,823, which is $500 more than what I'm paying now for my taxes. So either way, taxes still going to go up. It's either going to be $500 or drastically more. As I said before, there will be a food shortage, as it is already happening. So many people have lost their jobs. So many people have lost their jobs, and the people of the town need the mill rates to be as low as possible during this time. As I stated before, there will be more layoffs even at my hospital, and I won't pretend that I have job security there. The last thing I want to think about with the past reevals is, in my assessment increasing, is a higher mortgage payment on top of that because of the assessment. My company did not lay anyone off, but my employees did lose some of the client base, which means we had to make cuts on equipment that were needed and are on hold until we can get the client numbers back up. Luckily, all of our employees are per diem for now, but we were going to hire our first part-time position, which since COVID has become frozen because of the loss of the clientele. Also to consider countrywide, there have been layoffs and cuts everywhere, every business everywhere, every place of employment. Unfortunately, the schools will also fall into this situation of cuts and possibly layoffs. Schools are not exempt or shielded simply because there are hard times at hand. It's just a reality. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Then we go to John Rice, 39 East Thompson Road.
And John, yep, you're unmuted.
I'm sorry, yeah. Good evening, board members. I just have to piggyback on what Kathleen had mentioned, because I had written out I was going to support the same thing. I just would like the board to reconsider funding the total money that was requested by the Board of Ed and the town to cover the insurance costs. And that's basically my comment. I appreciate all you people are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, so then we go to Justin Young.
Good evening, Aaron. Justin Young, 12 Fairway Drive. Good evening, citizens of Thompson, Connecticut. This has been an eventful budgeting season. Reevaluation, COVID-19, executive orders, kids at home 24/7, jobs lost, essential jobs with new risks, digital meetings, and weather that goes from 30 to 80 in 12 hours. But that last part is just part of living in New England. I've been to many of the recent meetings and don't want to sound like a broken record, but some of this will be. This is not the time to divide a community, and so to start, I will say that I respect the positions of all the citizens of Thompson. Although you may disagree, I am willing to listen and weigh that with my own, so I'm asking you to do the same. Certain members of the Board of Finance have been very calculated in their positions, regardless of economic times, regardless of the amounts requested. The budget that always takes the most calculated attack is the Board of Education, and probably rightly so. It's 2.5 times the general government budget, and a sum of money that most of us won't make in a lifetime. But it's not a secret. There's an 84-slide PowerPoint deck for the proposed budget. There's a 17-page special education budget update PowerPoint deck, and a 19-page eye chart of spreadsheets where every line item from teacher salaries to postage is listed. Each of those line items has the actual spend for the last 3 years with the requested amount for the current year. All of this is available online at meetings or by request. And yes, I have stayed up late to review them all. The transparency could not be clearer, yet it's constantly questioned. I'm also pretty sure that if it were to ever be outsourced, as has been suggested, it would certainly be far less transparent, as we have seen from the studies, far more expensive, and certainly less controlled by the citizens. With regards to the general government budget, we continue to scrutinize, shrink, or leave flat critical town services. We put off crucial infrastructure improvements. Emergency service providers have to use equipment years beyond its recommended lifespan, all because we don't want to raise taxes. This is all coming at a price. Roads take longer to plow because of an older, less efficient fleet, short staffing to balance skinny budgets. Emergency services have to share equipment or call in other towns to support basic needs. Salt sheds to protect our salt investment are pushed till we lose that investment entirely. Hasn't happened yet, but if we don't act, it will. Roofs on buildings and HVAC for critical cooling or warming centers all backburnered because we don't want to raise taxes. However, on the other side of it all, town departments as well as the school department, work tirelessly to leverage grant monies to support large projects or purchases to save the taxpayers as much money as possible. My taxes, regardless of the mill rate at $23.97, $24.23, or $24.94, will go up by hundreds this year. But if it means supporting our children and our town into the future, then I will do what I have to make it work. This year is extra hard because instead of 18%, roughly 1,300 of the registered voters of Thompson deciding on the budget, as it has been in past years, the members of our Board of Finance will make that decision. Although we cannot vote, I, along with at least 500 others, as of 5 p.m. this evening, have signed a petition urging the Board of Finance to reconsider its cuts to the budget. The petition can be found on change.org and reads as follows. Titled, Responsibility to Fund Thompson Public Schools and Town Employees. Text, Citizens of the Town of Thompson, Connecticut. This petition is to urge the Board of Finance to adequately fund our schools and town with a minimum necessary obligation. The petition proposes to add $500,000 to the overall budget for the Town of Thompson fiscal year 2020-2021, 448 of which to cover the faculty and staff of Thompson Public Schools insurance obligations, with the balance of $52,000 towards the town's general budget to restore the town employees' insurance. This will result in a mill rate of $24.94. The Board of Finance is currently proposing a mill rate of $24.23. By adding $500,000 to the budget, this will allow Thompson Public Schools and the Town of Thompson to support our children and our town operations into the future. For reference, a home appraised at $200,000 and therefore assessed at $140,000 would cost the taxpayers an additional $1.91 per week, above the Board of Finance's proposed mill rate. These are tough times. In tough times, divided communities fall. However, united communities thrive. We, the undersigned, unite to support the Town of Thompson, Connecticut. We support the mill rate of $24.94 as outlined above. End text. The petition will be submitted to the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen in an official capacity on or before May 21st, 2020, and again, it can be found on change.org. Although not all 500 have been verified registered voters in the Town of Thompson, a good majority have been, and we will continue to verify prior to submission. Divided we fall, united we stand. Please join me in supporting the future of our town and the future of our children. As Martin Luther King once said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at the time of challenge and controversy. Thank you for your time and attention, and good night.
Thank you, Justin. So the average comments have been going for about 4 or 5 minutes. I think I probably should, when we get to about 2.5 minutes, just to let you know that there's 30 seconds to go, because I know that I can see there's a long line of folks who want to express their comments, and I want to make it fair so everybody gets a chance to go. So we'll want to try to tighten it up to keep it to the 3 minutes. So the next person is Tom Angelo, 640 Fabian Road.
Thank you, Chairman McGarry. I'm speaking tonight not as a Board of Education member, not as a member of the Alumni Association, nor a member of the Turtle Lot Trustees. I'm speaking to you as a taxpayer. I would like to echo the same feelings that Justin Young just said, as well as Charlene Langlois. As a taxpayer, we do have a duty to pay our taxes. Somebody else has paid those prior to us paying them now for the next generation. I wish and I want the Board of Finance to realize that whenever anybody moves to a town, what is one of the first questions that a new home buyer or new resident wants to know? What is the school system like? By what's going on with not funding accordingly to a school system, we are decimating our economic development. A school should be the foundation of an economic development for any town. Not only does it employ, not only do those employees contribute back with fundraisers, local business, supporting local business, as well as spending and paying tax dollars to our tax revenue base. That's one aspect. The second aspect is we talk out of two sides of our mouths as taxpayers. We all want our home values to increase. Why? So we can resell our homes. But when it comes time to pay the piper and taxes based on our home values, we always squabble. You can't have the best of both worlds. If your value is going to go up, then you should resell and sell your home. My question to right now to the Board of Finance, based on everything that's going on and what happened on Monday night, I would like to know which member of the Board of Finance would like to buy my home, because we have just decimated a town. If you'd like to buy it, it's 640 Fabian Road, and I invite you to come over and I'll show you my home and I'll give you a fair price. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Tom. So the next person is, well, it's Melinda Smith, not a resident of Thompson.
Good evening, Aaron. I'd just like to respond to Mary Ames' comments that she made. First of all, no one has a crystal ball on what's going to happen when school opens up. Every day, the information that I get from the state changes, and so we don't really know what our school year is going to look like. Are we going to have sports? Are we not? Are students going to be on campus? Are they not? I want to let the citizens of Thompson know I always present a very accurate budget to the Board of Education, and I never pad a budget. I always ask for what I honestly believe we need to meet our expenditures. Ms. Ames' comments I take as a personal insult. I want to say that it's been my experience in Thompson over the past 3 years that folks don't fully understand that an investment in education is certainly an investment in the community. The devastating reduction to the Board of Education budget will require 12 folks to lose their jobs. Next month at the June meeting, I must make those notices to the Board of Education that my recommendation is going to be to reduce 12 positions. That includes administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals, and custodians. That decision will be made well before school sports decision is made. This is not a game. This is not a strategy on my part. Ms. Ames, I am happy to answer any questions you have about the school department budget. Shame on you for publicly attacking my integrity. I work hard every day to support the students and the families of Thompson Public School and the community at large. Thank you.
Thank you. We go on to Sean Brissett. And Sean, if you could please state your address.
Yep, Sean Brissett, Whittemore Ave, member of the Board of Education. And it's not a coincidence that I clicked on right after Melinda, which was right after Mary spoke, because I'm going to piggyback on her. I got on the Board of Education 5 years ago. And one of the things that we heard all the time prior to me getting on the board, and then when I got on the board, is this perceived mistrust of the school. And in the 5 years that I've been on the board, we continually are told by members of the Board of Finance, even though they're going to cut the budget, they all believe we give a very thorough presentation. As was stated by Justin, the Board of Education's spending is line itemed down to every employee in the school system. It is public record. You can at any time request it and receive it. The town and the school are audited every year. We now live stream our meetings, which are then put back up on YouTube for anybody to go see at any time. I absolutely take it as a personal insult to continually hear that there is mistrust or misdeeds going on. We are all residents of the town who decided to run for an elected office to help, in my case, the kids in town. Other boards, you run for whatever reason, what you want to support. And it is absolutely insulting to continually hear this. We are the, in my opinion, most transparent board in this town. We still, as I said, are the only ones who live stream our meetings. Nobody else does that. Our budget is the most open. I believe our presentation this year was somewhere in the neighborhood of 70-something slides to 10 to 15 for the municipal budget. I understand we have a bigger budget, but we detail it. And I am just so tired of hearing this. If anybody doesn't trust the school board or the school administration at this point, they literally have their head in the sand. They're not trying. They are lying to the public and lying to themselves if they don't trust us at this point. Every question is always answered, and everything that we spend money on is public, and I'm tired of it. As far as this year's budget goes, I said it at a couple meetings, I'll say it quickly again. I don't understand the overwhelming negativity. Kathleen pointed to our local statistics. To cite national statistics at this point, when for years now, we haven't used the booming economy and statistics as a reason to increase funding, I think is absolutely disingenuous. It has been cut during one of the best economies in the history of this country. And all of a sudden, now the national statistics matter. Go anywhere
30
right
seconds.
now. I'm sorry?
Just, Sean, 30 seconds. Go ahead, Sean, 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. If you go anywhere right now, I was at Lowe's, I've been to local lumber yards, I've been to restaurants for takeout. It is crazy how busy it seems to be. I'm not going to sit here and say this economy is going to bounce back in 5 days, 5 weeks, but nobody can say that it's not. So I'm tired of people stating things as fact. If your opinion is it's not going to be great, that's your opinion. That's not a fact. We don't know, but we do know we need to educate the children. So again, as has been asked a number of times, please consider restoring those fixed cost funding, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Christine Campbell. Christine, if you could please tell us your street address.
Hi, this is Christine Campbell. My address is 861 Thompson Road in Thompson. I have a few things to say. I missed out speaking at the other night's workshop meeting. I missed it by a few moments and I apologize. So I'd like to say, in my opinion, to have a flat budget this year is the only responsible thing to do. I would like to take a moment to commend all of the town and library employees for volunteering to give up their raises this year. I think that was an amazing sacrifice that they volunteered. And I am dismayed that the school employees didn't do the exact same thing. I feel that everyone should be doing their part this year by making sacrifices. Many taxpayers with their revals are going to see a huge increase in their taxes, even with a flat budget, which we're not looking at right now. A town riddled with foreclosures isn't going to be good for any of us. We have no idea what is in store for us or where our economy is going. We need to err on the side of caution, especially right now with so many unknowns. I encourage the Board of Finance to revisit this budget, as others have said, but it is to further reduce it to a flat budget. I feel that there is a lot of detriment that is going to happen. And I also would like to say that looking at our town businesses and looking at where their taxes are going to be, they are going to be reduced for businesses. The taxpayers are going to bear the burden with the increase because of the revaluation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. Then we go on. Okay, the next person who says, I would like to speak appears to be, I just want to make sure. Looks like that's Christine DeRocher. Christine, when you're unmuted, would you please state your address?
Okay, let's see. I'm hoping it works.
Yep, I can hear you, Christine.
Okay, good. Okay, my address is 5 Fernwood Avenue in Thompson, Connecticut. And first of all, I would like to say, I would like to thank everybody for all their hard work. I know everybody's trying to do the best they can. I wholeheartedly agree with everything Charlene earlier said so eloquently. And there have been a number of people who have also made some very eloquent statements. I want to thank all the school members for their very hard work. This has been a very challenging time. And I want to just mention, because Christine just had mentioned about thinking the school people should do their share. But someone before had just said that, you know, a lot of our teachers and things are spending their own money to get stuff for the kids that they need for all this distance learning that we suddenly had to do. So I think they should get the full appreciation for all of that. And I want to thank our superintendent, Melinda, who's coordinated all of this and made it work. I want to remind everybody that last year, with no coronavirus, the school budget was level funded. That's just unsustainable. And now it's completely unsustainable because we have new things that we need to purchase and to take care of. So now we should support our educators who have been so giving of their time and their resources. Now we should support our children who have been so disrupted by the things that we're going through right now. I'm just listening to the NEA thing that's also going on. I'm trying to listen to two things at once here. But they were talking about how kids, when they come back, are going to need, probably some, increased language arts, increased things like that to express themselves and to improve their mental health. They're going to come back with varying degrees of expertise in this distance learning, and the schools are going to have to deal with that. I think we need to know what we're looking at and to decide what our most important thing is. And really, the most important thing we have is our children, whether that's our family's children, our community's children, or our country's children. And I think in spite of all the bad things that's going on, those children are the bright spot in our future and in our present. I think that it's up to us to support them in any way we can. I think we will very much regret it if we don't. And our town and our school needs us, all of us taxpayers, now, not tomorrow, not next year, but they need us now because this is an emergency and we all need to pull together on this and do whatever we need to do. So I thank you all for all of your help. And I would like the board to consider refunding that budget because I think it was the request made by the school in town, I think were reasonable. And I think I would really like to have you reconsider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Looking for the next person in the queue. Looks like Brittany Charbonneau, 56 Juliet Avenue is the next person to request speaking.
Hi, everyone. I know this is really tough for the Board of Finance to do all this, but I really, really hope that you hear so many of us that are pleading with you guys, please reconsider. All of those have spoken up, all of those who have written in, all of those who have signed the petition. We are here. We're telling you this is really what so many of us really are looking to, that are what our values are. And I just want to make sure that they're not falling on deaf ears. I feel like the message that you're sending us by proposing these cuts is telling us that it's not important, and it's absolutely important. And it's just, we can't just keep cutting and cutting and cutting. We're counting on you to hear us and to act on behalf of those who are speaking out with our community's best interests in mind. And that includes our kids, our town employees, our school employees. Our children need support in their education, and our town we need our school. A town that doesn't support its school is a town that isn't supporting its biggest asset, which is its future, and something that brings the whole community together. And people are saying, with Melinda saying that they're going to cut 12 positions, I heard someone saying that the class sizes are fine and stuff like that before. My son's in 3rd grade and there's 23 kids in his class. And to piggyback on what Christine said, how are we going to cut 12 people with your proposed budget and have these kids go back to school and have some sort of degree of normalcy? Think about what that class size is going to go up to and what's going to happen when these children need help and there's not enough support in the school. We're doing ourselves a serious disservice here if we think that cutting this much from the budget for the school is okay, and even for the town. So we're begging you please to reconsider. And honestly, I really want to tell Melinda she is awesome and that there's so many of us here that support you. Thank you so much for what you're doing for our children. Thanks.
Thank you, Brittany. Looks like the next person who wants to speak is David Ford. David, when you're unmuted, please state your address.
David Ford, 200 Porter Plain Road.
Go ahead, David.
So here's what I'm sitting here listening to all these comments coming in, and I understand that a lot of people here do rely on the employment of the school. It's been said several times that one of our biggest employers in this town is the school system. So I understand where people would like to have that 100% funded. But let's state some facts here. Number one, we have a astronomically high unemployment rate. A few callers back discussed and said the numbers in Thompson are not high at all. Matter of fact, stated at one point that the numbers are just about nothing. Here's the reality. There's a lot of us sitting here in Thompson that have felt this COVID-19 pinch. We are now coming to a spot to where we have to determine what bills we're going to pay. We have to determine if we're going to be able to keep food on our table. Because the reality is with all this going on, food costs have gone up drastically because of demands. Job loss creates a demand for foreclosure. Right now, families are going down to one income because they're forced to keep somebody home to take and school their kids. I understand the school system at this point. They may be putting more hours in. I understand the pinch of more costs. We're all going through it. We're all in a spot to where we have to tighten our belts, and we do not have a choice. If we continue to bring the taxes up, everybody's concerned about the school system going down, which affects your home values. Well, congratulations. Foreclosures in your area affect your values a lot higher than a school system. That's what people don't realize. So I want to take a moment to thank the members of the Board of Finance. Right now, you guys are going through a time where you guys are getting a lot of slack, and no matter which way you go, somebody is going to be mad. But here's the reality. We have to be able to pay our bills. If your taxes don't get paid, that's a debt that gets laid onto the town. So if we can't afford our taxes, we can't pay them, the town suffers in the end. Yes, I want to make sure our kids can take have a good education. I, for one, am paying to educate my kids privately, but yet I pay my taxes and I don't complain about it in that area. I understand costs go up, but we also have to understand with costs going up, it's not just going up for the school, it's going up for all the residents in the town. Inflation of home values just happened, which is already making a pinch for a lot of people in this town. We have to focus on tightening our belts at this time and being able to make it. Because let's face it, we don't know if this is going to go on for another 3 weeks. For all we know, this may be sitting here for another 8 or 9 months. They're already talking about next year the school system may not even be opening on time. We're all feeling it, but we all have to adjust. So I'd like to thank the Board of Finance members, and I would like to encourage us to stay at the 0.26 mil increase. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. I'm scrolling down to see if I can see anyone who requests to speak at this time. Natasha Marie, 9 Walker Drive, Quinnebog. Oh, I'm sorry. Amy St. Ange was next in line. Amy St. Ange would like to speak.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you everybody who has attended this public hearing tonight. I appreciate all of your thoughts, all of your comments. Earlier this week, I was in a conversation and I said to someone that we all have to sacrifice. And they said to me that, well, the school always takes the bigger hit. So I took some time and I just looked through the previous year's budgets, and I came to the conclusion that no, the town side generally takes the bigger hit as far as what is proposed and what gets cut. But I've been so happy tonight to hear so many residents saying that both the town and the school need to be funded, and we do. It's not the school against the town or the town against the school. So I can't say enough how happy I am to hear so many people in support of both. But the town's facing a problem. We can't continue to expect our residents to keep having tax increases year after year after year. Some people get raises every year, but there's a good portion of the public that don't see a raise year after year automatically. They have to work their butts off for it and hope that maybe their employer will give them a 1% raise or $1 more per hour or something bringing them above minimum wage. When we first started putting this budget together this year, I was thrilled. I was ready to walk door to door and promote both budgets actively with Melinda. And then all of this COVID-19 crisis stuff hit. And the truth is, we don't know. We don't know what the economy is going to bring. We can only hope for the best. All of the federal stimulus money that's being distributed, someone's going to pay for that. And the truth is, it's not me. It's not my children. It's probably my great-great-grandchildren that are finally going to be able to pay back the money that's been doled out to everybody. So our economy is facing some rough times. I really, truly believe that. I hope as a nation that we can come out of it strong, and I hope as a town that we can come out of it strong. But in the meantime, we have to do our due diligence to make sure that all of our residents are protected, and we just have to do our best. We are, as a town, in this together. So the last thing that I wanted to say, and I didn't write out notes, this is completely off the cuff, so the last thing that I wanted to say is that for the rest of my term, now I've been in 6 months, I've been a first selectman for 6 months. For the rest of my term, my sole objective is to really seek out industry, distribution centers, manufacturers. That's where our town is lacking. And I can't say it enough that we absolutely need to increase our tax base. And just adding some residents, just adding some houses isn't going to put us in the position to be able to continue to grow and build our school system and build our community. And so that's just my promise to all the residents here in Thompson that that's going to be my goal for the next year and a half. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmy. And can you do me a favor? Could you state your street address, please?
Oh, yes, Erin, 139 Riverside Drive.
Thank you. Okay, and so now we move on, excuse me. Now next is Natasha Marie, 9 Walker Drive, Quinnebog. Natasha Marie.
Okay. Thank you, Erin. Can you hear me?
There you are. I can hear you, Natasha.
All right, I think I unmuted myself while she was unmuting me, so it muted me again. Okay, I have a prepared statement, so I'm just going to read it out to you.
Go ahead.
This is to thank and support the Board of Finance members that we have voted into office. They have proposed a mill rate of 24.23, which made cuts to all budget, the school, the town, and the library. Although these cuts may not be popular to some, they were necessary. They took the pandemic, the reevaluations, the school, the town, and the voters in mind when they proposed the mill rate. We are all tightening our belts worldwide, countrywide, statewide, townwide, and household-wide. The budget, along with the $39,000 assessment increase and the $55,000 increase on my appraisal, which I understand are the same thing, is going to cause pain alone with a $700 increase in our taxes. We are down to one income due to the pandemic, and it will cause us to tighten our budget. Everyone is being pained and no one is targeted. We're all in this together. It has been said that the school has been severely underfunded for years, with referendums after referendums and opportunities for the town to approve funding. Unfortunately, that has not been done, and we should not use this as an opportunity to play catch up without a vote of the taxpayers. In unity, it should not be one side against the other. The Board of Finance listened to all citizens' comments and met between the flat mill rate and the 0.5 mill rate at 0.26. Let the Board of Finance members we have entrusted and voted in be your voice in a time where we cannot vote. Thank you to all 6 members of the Board of Finance. No matter the end result, they all worked on our town budget together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next person who requests to speak is Rob Mann, 15 Meadow Drive. Rob Mann.
Aaron, I don't see him in his chair. I'm trying to unmute him and it's not unmuting.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
Rob
there we
Mann,
go.
15 Meadow Drive. The petition sent out that I saw on Facebook in support of adding $500,000 to the school budget, I applaud. But they do not tell the families in this town what the financial impact on each individual family's home. Just as the email I saw sent to parents, previous budget workshops that only mentioned the Board of Finance proposed reductions of $755,000 and had no mention of the reductions of line items made on the town side and library. I want to remind everybody that this is an increase over last year's budget. It truly is only a reduction of what was asked for by the school, town, and library. The harsh reality of all this is line items are paid for by the taxpayers, and the town can only work with the money taxpayers are willing to pay. The town side and the library sides of the budget were requested to make reductions on their own, on line items, and many of them did, including their own raises. Now, did the Board of Finance choose these reductions from all the proposed budgets? Yes, as they do every year. Maybe these factors were considered. Using an average amount of money taxpayers were willing to pay in the past. Citizens are not getting a vote this year because of COVID, but I don't think other board members like this any more than I do, or the residents. Revaluations were a consideration. The economy, present, future, and how many unemployed there are. Will school be back in the fall? I see all the fairs locally and everything has basically been canceled. 4th of July, there's a long list on the Winnie Facebook page. When will all this end? Pretty much everything's off. I just repeated myself. Many parents struggle in the school system financially, yet can't speak as they fear retribution towards their children in school and loss of their friends with differing viewpoints. Some speak and take the risk, as I do for many of the town that are scared to have a voice. I've accepted this personally, and there will always be somebody with a different view or opinion on things, and that's why we are on a board. Recently, a Board of Finance member who was harassed during a meeting and after the meeting when they casted their votes on motions for what people did not like and what they felt was the right thing to do for the people of the community as a whole. This should never happen. I hear those without children in the school system don't care. Many Board of Finance members don't have children in the school. I'll agree with it. The same is for the Board of Education and committee members in our town. Some have been on the Board of Education that choose to send their kids to other schools. I beg to differ about this. The board last year added school security and later added spring middle school sports to the tune of $50,000. This is a small example of we do care. Some will get sticker shock from the property values going up before the rate increase. Some bills will go up and some bills will go down. Another stimulus check is also in the works. This is not a sign of a positive headed economy. The unknown is still here. I hope for things to improve, but simply we do not know. Revaluations put a burden on homeowners' backs as industrial commercial properties in our town did not increase even slightly close as much as residential values. On a positive note, Thompson will now look better for businesses, and this may actually help our grand list in the future. It's like a natural economic development opportunity when revaluations go this way. Personal property taxes and car taxes, which everybody knows are not fairly assessed because of state statute, will now be more affordable with a lower rate. With lower mill rate, Thompson will be more appealing for businesses thinking about coming to our town or for businesses we presently have here that plan to expand, because many actually are getting a tax savings of $3.52 per $1,000 value on personal property and their vehicles, unlike residential homes that family have increased. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Just trying to find the next one in line. So this is the problem when people put in all kinds of comments into the chat menu that have nothing to do with asking to speak. Is it takes me a long time to figure out who's next. Here we go. It says, oh, this actually says, Tom Angelo would like to speak, and I certainly hope that this doesn't turn into some kind of back and forth based on what I see in the chat box.
Aaron, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think Jeff Bolte was before Tom Angelo.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for pointing it out. So again, that's the problem with lots of stuff in the chat box that has nothing to do with requesting to speak. Is it's hard to find the next person. So Jeffrey Bolte, welcome. 1081 Riverside Drive.
Thank you, Aaron. As all of you know, we all are hurting at the moment. It is what it is. It's, we've been out of work for 2 months possibly. Many of us are working from home. Many of us are teaching our kids. Businesses here or there. I've seen the real estate market moving really well, depending on who's buying and who's selling. Who knows what the economy is going to do in 6 months. A flat budget isn't going to work. Things are going. We have people moving in. Yes, they're not going to be on this tax docket this year, but we're going to have taxes going up and people paying for more things next year. We could have, who knows, 20 more kids going into the system. What are we going to do? We can't keep cutting and cutting and cutting on both sides of the budget. The town gets hit too. I get it. We're all getting hit. Certain people are going to have tax cuts, because of their homes' values went down, or, just because of where the mill rate is. Many of us are going to get hit even harder than we used to be. But in the end, we need to support the town one way or the other, whether it is a full budget, a cut budget, or in any way. And, we need to get together. We are one town. Everybody in this town is in it for itself. We can't be each an individual. We make the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. So the next person who would like to speak is Tom Angelo, and I just want to warn this entire assembly that if this turns into some kind of back and forth, I will shut it off. I will shut off at least any comments that become a back and forth. So go ahead, Tom. You're welcome to speak. Please state your address.
640 Fabian Road, phone number is 860-933-3408. I will address other things personally outside of this meeting, and I will have a conversation with a few of those board members. In addition to that, Chairman McGarry, I also failed to mention that we asked for a superintendent that was more community oriented. Not only did that bring us Melinda Smith, but that brought us a lady professional who has personally taken it upon herself when we had an anemic Memorial Day parade 2 years ago to turn around our Memorial Day parade single-handedly by going back to her school members. We've asked her to become more involved in the community. She has. We've asked her to communicate more openly. She has. I don't know what more we can ask for a superintendent to be more involved in giving back. She's an open book. She is very accessible, more than what we've had in the past from probably 2 or 3 superintendents. Not to discredit any of them. They all had different styles. Melinda's style is one of a community oriented and get involved and take charge. I applaud her as a taxpayer. And I am honored to work with her as a Board of Education member. Thank you.
Thank you. This is just speaking as the moderator. I feel like the appropriate platform for discussions and views and opinions about the budget and the process is here. It's here in a in a public hearing. It's at a Board of Finance budget meeting. It's out in the open. It's out for everyone to see and everyone to hear. That's consistent with the spirit of our American democracy. So when I hear someone say, I'm going to have an offline conversation with someone after this, I get concerned. I honestly get concerned. This is a small town. We all have to live together. We all have to get along, despite the differing views that we may have. That's why we have public meetings. That's why we have public hearings. This is the forum. This is the platform. This is the place to express your views and your opinions about the budget and the process. Please keep your views and your opinions in this forum. Please. It looks like Lauren DeCiccio, 308 Thompson Hill Road, would like to speak.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am a parent of 2 children that attend Thompson School, and I also happen to be a teacher there. I just wanted to thank all of the teachers for all their hard work. I understand everyone's various point of views. I just would like to express to the Board of Finance many of the views that have already been expressed tonight, but please understand that teachers are working sometimes from 6:30 in the morning till 10:30 at night. We do this because we love our students. We are there for our kids. We'll work at any hours that we can to meet those students' needs. We're up worrying about them. I was very disappointed in the meeting on Tuesday when the additional cut was snuck in the last 2 minutes of the meeting, but an extreme amount of time, probably 20 minutes or more, was spent discussing about $5,000 on an intern salary for someone to update the website. How is that more important than the education of our children? I feel that COVID is being used as an excuse to cut the budget, but the budget has been cut every single year. I understand there are concerns about COVID, but we need to put that aside and look at the budget itself is being presented at the bare minimum. What is being asked is only what we need. Teachers go above and beyond that every day. We supply our own materials. Parents have been wonderful in my classroom and in all the classrooms, asking us whatever else we need. So that is so appreciated. So thank you, families, for doing that. I also just wanted to point out that Pomfret, it was on Winnie today, that their education budget had been cut. The Board of Finance within a few days put their money back in. I know it's a different town, but their mill rate is 32 point something now. Right now, the schools are feeding children. And I just don't understand why we would look at cutting the schools when we go back, whether we are in the physical building or teaching from our homes, we are still working. We need every single person that's an employee of the school to do that. When we talk about looking at social distancing, I don't understand that. I think anytime when we are back in school, I'd invite any of the Board of Finance members to come to my classroom and see what a classroom looks like. There are classrooms that have a large amount of students. We're doing the best that we can with various needs for different students. I would love to have more staff to help, but that's just not the way that it is right now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Laura. Kathleen Herbert would like to speak again.
What I want to say,
Go ahead,
one,
Kathleen.
yes, one to Rob Mann. The petition that is going around is asking for an increase of $500,000 back to both the school and the town's budget. We recognize the fact that we are all one. We live as a community, Rob, and the cuts were made both to the town and the school that we feel were unacceptable and unconscionably too much. And again, I urge, again, the comments made tonight, if you are listening, Board of Finance, the comments made tonight, listen to the people, were made over and above pro adding money back to the budget to support both the school and the town. The people of this town are speaking in this forum that they believe we need to support both the school and the town. And the only way we can do that is to add money back to the budget. This is our only way we can do that. By cutting the budget to a 0.26 million increase does not adequately support what we need to do in this town for either the town or the school. Lori DeCiccia, I can't pronounce your name. I'm so very sad about that. She has expressed it very well. Even if we have to do distance learning, that is expensive. The teachers are putting in sometimes 12-hour days and sometimes on their own dollars to help the students of this town. We need to support our teachers. We need to support our town workers. This is how we express our support to them. And I commend them for taking their pay freezes. I do that. If people are unable to pay an increase in tax, we need to think of a way how we can help them. There is a small percentage in our town that do need assistance. Well, how can we help that small percentage? We cannot budget for the entire town based on a small percentage of the town. We need to do a responsible budget that supports the majority of the town. Every year we cut to support a minority of our town. We need to support the majority of our town and figure out a way that we can support and assist the minority in our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. I don't see anyone requesting to speak at this time, so we can move into questions and answers. If someone has a question, they can enter their name into the chat platform, and then they will be called upon, and then they can ask their question, and we'll see if we can get it answered. No guarantees, but we'll try to get the question answered. And so if you have a question, just type your name into the chat platform. Please don't type your question, type your name, and then you'll be called upon to ask your question. Sean Brissett has a question. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. So every year, and especially this year, I hear everybody has to feel the pain. And as Melinda stated, she's looking at possibly 12 positions at the school. That's 12 families whose jobs are in jeopardy. So when I hear everybody has to feel the pain, most years I don't really agree with the statement because I look at the way the different budgets are put together. My question is, which positions and services are looking at being cut on the town municipal budget, because that's pain. And so I'm curious. I keep hearing everybody has to feel the pain. I just want to know where the pain's being felt, because I know it's being felt at the school. And everybody likes to say it's not one against the other, but listening to this budget season and listening to what the Board of Finance did, and you talk about everybody feeling that pain. So I'm curious what services and what positions are being considered to be cut on the municipal side.
Sean, I guess I can try to respond to you. Unfortunately, it's that attitude that keeps coming up that it's the school versus the town. The town currently operates with very limited staff in every single office. It's pretty much the bare minimum, which is why we didn't totally have to divide our schedules as much as other towns did, because basically there's just one person per office. So I don't know where the town could cut because they're already operating with limited staff in comparison to other towns. And they do a fine job with what they're doing with very little.
Thank you, Amy. If anyone else has a question, they can enter their name into the chat platform and hit enter. Again, the way to ask a question if you have one. Okay, Brittany Charbonneau has a question. Go ahead, Brittany.
Hi, everyone. So after all of the feedback that you've gotten regarding the concerns with the funding against for the school and the Board of Education, are you even going to consider reconsidering that proposal?
So speaking as a member of the Board of Finance, I'm happy to take all of these thoughts and feedbacks and points and suggestions into consideration. I still have a lot of discerning to do between now and when the final budget is approved. But to answer your question, I appreciate all the feedback that I'm receiving. So I'm listening to all the feedback, and I will consider all the feedback. I don't want to speak to what I may do 3 weeks from now, because there's still going to be more conversations. But I appreciate this, and I will discern over it. That's just speaking for my own self. There's 6 members of the Board of Finance. So if any of them want to unmute themselves and answer that question, they're certainly welcome to.
Aaron, Rob Wurge, I'd like to comment. I think it's a good question.
Go ahead, Rob.
I too remain open. I think that this is part of the process. I was actually, it might sound a little strange, but I was looking forward to hearing from everybody tonight, because in the past workshops, they were just that. We were kind of delving into the numbers, and they were workshops. So I've taken this very seriously. I have listened intensely to everyone, and that's why we have the process set up the way it is. So kind of a long answer, but the short version is I remain open to listening, and when we get back together to make the final submission June 1st, all of people's comments will be, from my perspective, will be taken into consideration.
We appreciate you.
And if any other member of the Board of Finance wants to help answer that question, they're welcome to do so. Okay.
Aaron?
Yes.
Rhonda Rooney.
Rhonda?
I just wanted to comment to the question. I would just like to say, as a member of Board of Finance, I am also open to listening and making other decisions down the road.
Thank you.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. I'm
Go ahead, Rob.
I'm also open for other decisions down the road. Nothing's ever set in stone, and it's been a difficult year, and they're difficult decisions. So it weighs on me heavily. I have to say that. Been very nice. It's been tough to sleep this year. It hasn't been like that in past years, but I can tell you that this year it's been difficult. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
And if anyone else. Okay.
Aaron, there's oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Amy.
I just wanted to make sure you saw who was asking for the next question.
It looks
Sorry.
like Christy DeRocher is next in line, right?
Yes, that's what I
Christy
see.
DeRocher.
Are you there?
Go ahead, Christine.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, it's 5 Fernwood Avenue, Thompson, Connecticut. I have a question, and I just am really concerned about this, is that from what I gather in the talks of reopening the schools and so forth, you know, they were thinking of doing it in different things they, you know, brought up, like, you know, the social distancing, like maybe having half the class 2 days a week and the other half the other 2 days a week. But I just wonder if Melinda is saying that, you know, if we don't restore the budget, basically, that she's going to have to cut staff members. I mean, how the heck are they supposed to do this? You know, that's really kind of my question. I don't know if you could answer it, but you know, I'm just thinking ahead here.
Aaron, if you'd like me to answer that, I can.
Go ahead, Melinda.
So there is no crystal ball. We don't know if there's going to be split sessions, if students are going to come in 2 days a week, be home 2 days a week, do some distance learning. We don't know because we haven't received any guidance from the state. But the 12 positions that are going to need to be reduced to meet the budget that as it stands will include administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals, and custodians across the board. And yes, it will have an impact on class size. And yes, we will have to reduce some services for students. But the bottom line is that the money is in the people because we are in a service industry, a service to students and their families. And so the bulk of our budget is all about people. So unfortunately, that's the direction we have to take. I hope that answers your question.
Well, it does, but well, to a point, except that I'm just thinking that as difficult as all of this is if you don't have the money to do what you need to do and have to cut positions, I mean, it makes a difficult situation even more difficult. And I guess that was the question I was saying, how, you know, I wanted to see you to express, you know, how what the impact would be of not having money when you have to, you're going to have limited staff to deal with already what's going to be a spread out thing. And then you have to do even more.
So reopening school is, and any superintendent will tell you, it's probably the most complex decision and complex planning I will ever do in my career. And there's so many things to worry about, and there's so many things that we need to implement to keep our students, faculty, and staff safe. I want parents to feel very confident that when students come back to Thompson Public Schools, that they come back in a safe and healthy environment. That's critical. And so with reduced staff, you are right, Christine, that there is going to be an impact on ensuring that safety and security.
Well, thank you, Melinda, and I appreciate all that you've done, and I certainly hope the board will take that into account when they reconsider the budget. Thank you.
Next person who requests to ask a question is Justin Young. Go ahead, Justin.
Thanks, Aaron. So one is a question that I'm teeing up because I know the answer to it, but I think it's important that everybody hear the answer to it because it was mentioned on Tuesday night's Board of Education meeting, and that's to Melinda. Melinda, is the school and the school system tracking expenses related to COVID-19 in the event that there is specific funding that may support the activities and such?
So I can answer that question. We were informed today, and I'm sure it's on in the news actually, that Thompson Public Schools will receive $132,000 for COVID-19 expenses. That is an allocation that was determined based on 83% of our regular Title I federal allocation. Title I is an allocation of monies that is given to districts to support students who are not achieving at grade level in mathematics and English language arts, reading in particular. And it's based on poverty rates. However, poverty doesn't assign what children we support. So right now at Mary Fisher, we have 54% poverty rate, and overall in the district, we're almost up to a 50% mark. So we know that we're getting $132,000 from the CARE Act. We have already spent to date $47,000 to support distance learning and keep our children fed. Currently, we have ordered hand sanitizers and dispensers, additional masks, additional disinfecting supplies, and I could say we're on our way to spending that $132,000 before we even open the doors in September. And that's aside from having to figure out how many students ride on a bus, how many students are in a classroom, what additional supports we're going to need. So, and what additional support students are going to need, because we all need to face the fact that there will be gaps in student learning. And so the reality is I have no clue what I'm going to face in September when we open doors, but I do know that we have to be well prepared and make sure that the monies that we got, the $132,000, is focused primarily on a safe and healthy learning environment. And then the additional supports for children and the additional transportation, I'm not really sure where that's coming from.
But you are tracking those line items separately from the normal budget, or at least identifying what costs are COVID-19 distance learning impacting. That's correct. Yeah.
Correct. So that number 47,000 is on that tracking sheet.
Great. Thank you, Melinda. And that's the Board of Education and the school's transparency, is that they are tracking that so that if monies do come out, we can quickly take advantage of it.
Yes.
My second question is to the Board of Finance. And this one is more of an ideals question, and probably should have been asked when you were running for the office, but I believe it's important to ask now. Do you believe that the schools are directly related to the public school system within the town? And that's to all the members of the Board of Finance. If you choose to answer, that's great. If you choose not to answer, I understand.
So you said, do you believe the schools are directly related? I'm not sure if I followed the question.
Do you believe that the schools are directly related to the property values within the town that the school system resides?
I think that a lot of things are directly related to the property values, not only the schools, but the town hall, the highway, the accessibility to high-speed internet, the accessibility to higher education. All of these things are factors relating to property values, I believe, was the link that you were attempting to make. Yes? Yes. I believe all of those things are important links to property value.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron.
Want me to go next? Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
Yeah, no, I agree. They all are. I mean, I'm sure there are communities that have more children. There's communities that have less children. There's communities that have a lot of different things going on, and it's everything Aaron said is definitely related to the economy and your property values. There's no doubt about it. If you live on a busy road opposed to a dead-end street, everything is a million different things that affect your property value. But I do believe that the schools do affect it.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Aaron, I'd like to speak.
Go ahead, Rhonda.
I just wanted to concur with Aaron, and that there are many, many things that affect the value of our homes, to include the school. Yes.
Thank you, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
Rob Werge, Board of Finance. Aaron, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the question, Justin. I too agree that the school clearly is an important piece of the value of the town, the value of the properties in the town, and related to the health of the people in the town. Along with the other things that some of the board members commented on, there's also location of our town, there's the environment within our town, zoning within our town, and even things like unpopular things like blight and some of the not so pretty sites around town. So, you know, it really is a culmination of a lot of different pieces, and those pieces kind of equal community. Right? It's people having pride in their community among all those dimensions.
Thank you, Rob.
Jim Bellavance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
I concur with what Rob just said. There's a multiple of different facets that go into the values.
Thank you, Jim.
And I know that right now Steve is having trouble with his microphone, so I will allow, in this case, what he wrote into the chat platform because of the malfunctioning of his microphone. It says, yes, property values are influenced the quality of education in town. That was his writing into the chat window at 8:42 p.m.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you, Aaron, for entertaining my question.
My pleasure. Sean Brissett would like to ask a question.
Yeah, I think this would be for Orla. When would we be hearing a more specific idea of what the town may be receiving from all this federal money that's coming down? Is that something, the type of information that we may have by the time the Board of Finance needs to set a budget? What are you hearing from the state?
So I think you're referring to the FEMA public assistance money. We are regularly in contact with DEMIS because those dollars are being issued directly through DEMIS, which is the state emergency management system. The goal is just basically to apply. The cost share is approximately 75%, and it's unclear whether it's broken down town by town. It depends on projects. They have a minimum dollars for a project. They have a maximum dollars for a project. But one thing I can share with you, and I just sent an email to Bob and Melinda. We, as a town, we are required to submit our application together. So we are registered as a town to apply for assistance. That was something we had to do with the state about a month ago. So it'll be a matter of sitting down with all the different departments and determining as to how much we can submit, but it's definitely unclear how much money is available at this stage.
So when you say project, for example, for a minute, let me just ask, I'm sure this is probably, they're going to loosely define project, but let's just use the example, if in fact the government's suggestions on how we reopen school involve considerably more transportation because of multiple shifts, which is one of the things they're talking about, would possibly more transportation be considered a project? Is that what they're talking about, or?
That's my understanding. You're right, Sean. That is my understanding, that they break it down in what they call small projects and big projects.
Okay.
And each one of these projects is tied to what they call the COVID funding. It has a certain code number. I just don't remember it often.
Sure.
But yeah, no, that's it. I think the minimum project is considered $3,100 on a minimum, and the minimum large project is considered $131,000. So that'll give you a broad perspective as to what we're talking about here.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Aaron, can I also speak on this subject, please? This is Amy St. Ange.
Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, Sean, I also wanted to add FEMA put aside, putting that aside. We also got word that with this next round of federal stimulus money, that there is money that's coming directly to the states, specifically for counties. So because we don't have county governments, the bulk of the money that's coming is going to go directly to the state to be dispersed amongst the municipalities. So I am tracking that pretty solidly. It just came out yesterday. The state did suggest that we continue to collect, our receipts, et cetera, and our expenses to submit to FEMA, but it is hopeful that there will be some federal funds coming to the municipalities soon.
Okay, and again, any I know we wouldn't have definitive word because that, never moves quickly, but any type of idea on timeline. Again, I'm just thinking, the 21st, I think is what Aaron had said, still a couple weeks away. Any thoughts on timeline for an indication of, yes, this looks acceptable type conversations, or?
Well, I know something's coming. I've reached out to May Flexer and Rick Hayes, just to make sure that they're looking into it as well. It just came across my desk in an email this morning, so I'll just be watching it. I don't have a definitive answer at this point. I don't think that stimulus package has actually gone through. It's going through, but I don't think it's actually, happened.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
All right. That was Sean. And then Val Iamartino would like to ask a question.
Thank you, Aaron.
Hi, Val.
Hi, hope you're doing well. So I've got a question for particularly the Board of Finance. Myself, I am one of 9, went through the school system up to 9th grade. My siblings all graduated. All of the other 8 graduated from Thompson. My kids themselves went up to 8th grade and then went on to a private school. We never faltered for any of our contributions to the town or ever suggested anything negative relative to other kids' education, regardless of the path we took for our own kids. My kids themselves had fantastic education through the 8th grade system. They themselves would be 4th generation connected to the town going to Thompson Public Schools. With that being said, I'm a big proponent of community and community stakeholders. We all have to do our part. Whether we have kids in the school system or not, we live in this community and we all need to come together so that everyone has a fair chance at a decent education. My concern is a couple of things, which I even mentioned on the Board of Ed meeting a couple days ago. We hired Melinda Smith to do a job. We were far behind in the things that we did at our school for probably the past 20 years. Always behind the 8 ball, always behind in programs, whatever. She has brought such a breath of fresh air to this community. Number one, I'm always concerned about her having the tools to do her job. Okay, we won't get another Melinda Smith in a long time, I can tell you that. She's community connected. She always has the best interest of the kids. She's at every event, and she's just really supportive of our town, especially not even living from the town. She's here all the time and she's very supportive. When you have stakeholders in community, you get positive results. When everybody operates on their own system, nobody comes together. Everyone just is a wheel that, a notch in the wheel that's really not a gear that's working. So my concern is this. For the Board of Finance people, particularly the ones that have no vested interest in the school, if you had a child or a grandchild currently in the school, would you consider those number cuts not being made? If you had a vested interest, if one of your own were in the school system, would you vote differently? My question. And thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Val.
Aaron?
Go ahead.
Val, Rhonda Rooney. I do have a child in the school system, and I have had 2 children graduate in the school system. So I'm assuming the question is not directed to me?
That is correct. It's for the people that don't have a vested interest in the school.
Thank you.
So Aaron McGarry speaking for myself. My 2 brothers attended the public school system. I attended the public school system, and my son attended the public school system. And because I used the word attended, past tense, I don't think that should belittle the fact that I somehow don't have a vested interest in the public school system, because I am a product of the Thompson Public School System. So I like to think that I value the institutions that I attended.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and she does not go to Thompson Public Schools. She's homeschooled. There were a number of factors. I won't get into them why she's not there. It's not, never ever did I have a problem with any teachers or administration at Thompson Public Schools. Actually, the requests I made when she went there, they actually met every single one of them, and me and my wife had no issues whatsoever. But I probably would have still voted to make this cut if my daughter was in the school system. It wouldn't have made a difference. I made my decision thinking of everybody in town, and I explained why. And I do have a vested interest. I went kindergarten through 12th grade in Thompson Public Schools. I moved into the house I live in right now when I was 5 years old, and I never left. I left town for a short period of time to live in Webster when I was in my 20s, and I bought a house on Spicer Road, and then I bought a house on Thompson Road, and then my mom passed away, and I bought the house that I grew up in, and I'm raising my child in the very same house. So I certainly have an interest, vested interest in the town, and I'll continue to. And that's part of the reason why I'm on this board, is because I want to have an interest in the town, and I want to be able to look out for other people. Some of them have the same views in some issues. Some of them have the different views in other issues. And I actually applaud that, and I invite it. I have no issues with, somebody makes a decision one way on the board or another board, and it's different than mine. I don't have a problem with it. And that's how these boards work. That's why there's 6 of us. That's why other boards have multiple members, and the more members there are, the more different opinions you're gonna get. And that's how town government works. But I would have still voted to make these same cuts. Thank you.
You're correct in the fact that that is how town government works, but here's the one statement that I'm going to leave you with.
Okay.
Everybody can value somebody else's opinion, but it's when the cancerous facts are put out there to create issues that don't exist in a negative way, that's when people have a problem, that don't understand what the system is going through. And I honestly think there's a lot of people within the town, many of them on boards, that don't have a clue what a school system is all about today. It is not about the school system when you went to school, Rob, nor when I. This is a dynamic situation, and it's only going to get worse. I can tell you that right now. If any of you guys do anything for yourself, go on some of Governor Lamont's issues with the boards of education and what they're going to have to deal with to open schools. With the cuts you guys are making, I can tell you, we won't be cutting it when school time opens. There's too much that's going to be happening relative to separating kids on buses, having to have more buses, cleaning schools, cleaning buses. All of that stuff is going to cost money. And Melinda's right. We don't even know in that crystal ball where that's all going to come from. But I can tell you, as a school system currently today, it is very, very hard. And what some of these people deal with day in and day out is difficult. It's something that I think we need to all understand. This is not a school system of the past. Our lives are different. There's a lot of mental health, behavioral health. We have to accommodate kids of all economic backgrounds. We are in a impoverished community. They don't have a lot. And I can tell you, being one of 9 from a single mom, if the school system, the teachers, the mentors, the coaches did not take interest. My mother was a 25-year employee, and I know I say that all the time, but if the school and community didn't support us, we didn't survive. We weren't living off of the handouts from some of the agencies. There were none. We survived because we had a school community and a town that supported us. Everyone knew us. And I think that's what I look for kids. I want to help. It's not about my kid. It's not about me. It's not about my kid. It's about all of us supporting any kid. I don't care if it's one kid that we impact. I want to be there to help that kid rise in levels that are much better than what we are. With Melinda saying the number of kids that are in a poverty state with the condition relative to Thompson right now is huge. And we should all be doing our part. And I'm not saying that we should be top heavy on the school board and this one should suffer. Personally, I would love to see a roundtable where a few key members from each of the town, the school, and Board of Finance sit down and say, what can we do for each other? Yes, it's going to be a give and take, but where we're at now, we're not a community. Community is when everyone takes a role as a stakeholder. They step up, they do their part, and they contribute. When you just do your own thing, that's not a contribution. And I know, Aaron, you know, last year you talked about that too. People need to come together. This isn't about me. It's not about Aaron. It's not about Amy. It's about all of us. We're never going to get there if we continue the way that we're continuing. And I've been one of those that have been, it's all about cutting. Come on, economic development. I don't know what's happened in the last 20 years, and I'm not one to say have factories, but we need to know what our town assets are. What are we going to use to get people to come and use our recreation facility, get a few more restaurants, do stuff. We can't be banking on a mill that's going to be renovated 10 years from now. Okay, and we need to do things that are going to be steps that are going to be in a positive direction, and they're going to take us where we're supporting our school system, we're supporting our town, and we're going to go back to some of the basic things that we need to do. And that's going to be, everyone's going to have to give in, come to the table and say, you know what, I'm willing to do this, take and give. Because at the rate we're going, we're not going to get there. I can tell you that. And please, everybody, start listening to what they're saying about what it's going to take to open a school system. Because with the cuts we have, we're not going to be able to do it with 12 people down, I can tell you that. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Val. And to help continue to answer your question, Steve Herbert had typed into the chat platform. He says, I do not have a vested interest, but still support the school and revising the ed budget upward. That was.
And I know
Herbert's
Steve does, and
response.
Steve, I appreciate that.
Okay, so I just want to see if anyone else has a question. Okay, doesn't look like anyone else has said that they have a question, so I'll just give it a little time in case somebody else has a question. Looks like Rob Wurge is requesting to be unmuted.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
I can, Rob.
Super. Aaron, I wanted to just comment on the last question. I didn't get a chance to weigh in.
Oh, by all means, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'll be brief. Val, I thought it was a good question. I have to say that it never even crossed my mind. I don't have children in the school system, but that didn't weigh or cross my mind at all. I think where my mind's at is really trying to do good and trying to understand how to strike the best balance across all the voices in town, and it's nearly impossible. There's going to be people that are going to be upset and saddened, and there's going to be people that are going to be happy in both directions. So it's a tough situation that we're all in, but it had not crossed my mind. And really the whole idea of running for the board and being part of the board and contributing to the town was to be involved and to have a voice and not have a voice on the sideline. I guess this is the best way to describe it. If you're not pleased with things and you want to make change, jump in and get involved and be part of the change. Otherwise, be silent, be quiet. And I think that, I don't mean be silent in terms of don't have a voice. I mean, be silent in terms of if you're going to complain and be passionate about something, jump in to make a difference and be part of the change movement. Similar to Justin's initiative. Don't know whether I 100% agree with it, but I certainly applaud the passion to take the democratic process by hold and try to make change and try to do something positive in a direction that he and others feel are very, very positive.
Thanks, Rob. If anyone else has a question, they can type their name into the chat platform
Aaron?
And let us know. Yes.
Can I answer a question, reply to Val's question, even though I am not, I do have children in the school system?
Go ahead, because you're welcome to continue answering. That's fine.
So I just wanted to say thank you to Val for expressing all that, and we truly do appreciate that, as well as everybody else on this call. We want to hear from all of you. I do have 3 children that have all been in the school system, and one currently still in the school system, and one that graduated 2 years ago. I've been on the board for 5 years, and I am very concerned about the school. I have been concerned about the school since I became a member of the Board of Finance. And my concern is that the school has been continuously underfunded by the taxpayers, and it is their choice. And this is what the people want to do. This is what they want to vote on. We can't control that. So year after year, when I hear the Board of Ed and the teachers and the students that come in, it's heartbreaking to hear all that year after year. And my concern and my confusion, as I have expressed multiple times, is what are we going to do as a solution to this problem? Melinda Smith was hired 4 or 5 years ago, and she is an excellent superintendent. I mean, she is a class act person. She is a class act superintendent. She has done everything she can possibly do. She's involved in the community. She's an awesome leader. But without the proper funding, nothing's going to move forward. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of people think it's put on the Board of Finance shoulders to properly fund the school. You know, out of the whole amount of time that I've been here, we've put out higher increases to the school. They've been voted down over and over and over and over again, continuously. And so, I mean, I can't speak to what happened before I was elected into office. However, every year since I have been on this board, the same thing has happened. And every year, there has been no solution. There has not been anybody trying to work on a solution. It's not a solution-based boards, I guess. I don't really know. I'm a solutions-based person. If I had a business and I was getting underfunded $500 to $1 million a year, I would be closed a long time ago. So I don't even know how the school continues to function at the level it does. And I commend each and every one of you for keeping it going and keeping the kids educated. And Melinda, for keeping going. We don't want you to go anywhere. I just don't know how this is going to continue. And that is been my continuous concern since I've been involved. And it is still my concern this year. So I just wanted to add that. I really wish that we as a town could come to a solution. If we could put options out there that could be potential solutions for this situation, I think they would be welcomed by everybody in town. It seems as though to me, and I could be wrong, but that we're doing the same thing year after year, and we're expecting different results. We're expecting the town's voters to come in and say, yes, I want to approve a high budget this year for the town and the Board of Education. Unfortunately, it's just not what's happening, and that's reality. So we have to look at reality and come up with solutions that are going to help educate our children, that are going to stabilize costs to where the taxpayers are going to want to participate, and we're going to provide our children with more than what we are providing them now. More is what they deserve. So that's all I wanted to say, and I would like to apologize to anybody that has ever thought differently about my thoughts, but this is where I stand, and this is where I have stood since I joined the board. Thank you.
So thank you, Rhonda. And so just to clarify, that was Rhonda answering Val Emeritino's question, because Board of Finance members who wanted to chimed in to answer Val's question. And so this is a terrific conversation, but I just want to make sure that we keep this to questions and answers. So if someone from the community has a question, they ask a question, and then we try to get you the answer. We can certainly, if this were to turn into a back and forth discussion, that would be great in the proper form. I want to make sure that we follow the agenda. The agenda is my promise to this public hearing, and I just want to make sure that we follow the agenda, that's all. So if any other Board of Finance member wants to answer this question, that's fine. That would be technically answering Val's question. And if not, then we can invite Val to ask another question, or another member of the community ask another question. But I just want to make sure that we provide the opportunity for someone who has a question to step forward and ask it.
Aaron, I'd like to ask, or actually I'd like to talk to just make a statement to Rhonda, just a few minutes.
Val, you know how much I love you, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So just really quick. So Rhonda, you kind of made me chuckle a little because the historical side of me wants to tell you this has actually gone on a long time. And in probably 100 years, this is how our town has been relative to the education system. And no joke. First of all, that high school that was built, we didn't pay a dime for it when it was built. So with that came a mindset that maybe we don't have to invest in a lot of education. And I'm not saying that deeply, but when you have a town that generationally people stay in it, that mindset gets transferred. So I'll leave you with that. The one thing, Aaron, I would like if somebody, either Orla or Rainey could do, because I have been vocal about economic development. It's always about cuts. We never hear of the new stuff coming in. If we do, it's on a small scale. And again, I'm not about huge factory things or whatever. We have to get creative. But I would like to see what the numbers are in the decline of revenue to the town over the last 20 years. For businesses, for stuff that would normally generate us money that either moved out of town. I'm sure Rainey or Orla has those numbers. I would like to see some type of numbers, like where is that decline? And I'm glad that Amy has committed her last term time to basically contribute and really focus on that, because I think that is really needed.
Thank you, Val.
Thank you, Aaron.
And so what I don't want, I just want to be careful. What I don't want is, I mean, if that was a question to Rini or to Orla
Yes.
to say, what are the numbers? I don't want to speak on their behalf. I suspect that the answer to those numbers are probably more complicated than they can just snap on the end of their
No,
fingers at the moment.
and that's exactly what I think. But I think for future, we should be looking at that. Amy should be looking at that, because we're not getting the revenue to help us. I look here, the number of homes that went to a private school that were probably taken off the tax list. And I'm not just saying them, businesses that went out of business over the last 20 years. We've had a decline in revenue. So if we don't have the money, I get it. We can't be funding things, but we have to figure out a way to be creative to get money back. And how are we going to do that so that we can move forward in a more positive way? And if Rainey wants to reach out to me and say, hey, Val, come in my office, I'll show you where to look for those numbers, I'll be happy to go do it, because I really would like to know.
Aaron, this is Orla.
Go ahead, Orla.
Yeah, thanks, Val, for your question. I'll be happy to work with Rainey. He can certainly provide the property taxes side of things, and I can look into the other revenue side of things, and we can compile that information for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Orla.
Okay, no problem.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance, can I chime in, Aaron?
Go ahead, Rob.
I'd be interested in helping with this project, without a doubt. I completely agree with you. I think that's where our town's lacking the most. It's always in the homeowners' pockets, opposed to trying to generate ideas for economic development that are actually going to make a difference. We look at, I don't want to get into this too much, because I can get into it with you at another time. But we look at things that are going to increase how many people come and live into our town. And I think that sometimes has a drastic effect on us also, because it changes how many people need the services and so on. And when you bring businesses in, if they have valuable property, I should say, valuable property businesses, then maybe they could be built on. And that's where the economic development really has to happen. Because it's the property values of the businesses that really help the town, opposed to what they sell. The products they sell don't help the town as much. It actually helps the state. I don't think the town really gets a lot of revenue when somebody's selling a bag of chips out of a store, opposed to just the property. Maybe somebody can fill me in on that at a later date, but that's just my thought too. But I applaud your suggestions, and that this is something I would definitely help work with somebody else together to accomplish and help, because we really do need to raise our grand list, but at the same time, I'd like to raise it without the burden on everybody that wants to live here and enjoy life. Thank you.
Looks like Tara Penn is willing to help answer the question. And if she can be unmuted.
Aaron, sorry, I have to find her phone number because she's also dialed in.
Oh. Tara, can you enter
I
your
think I might
cell
have
phone number in
gotten
the
her.
chat?
Tara, do you want to try to
Yep,
talk?
yep.
There you are.
Yeah, sure. So this has come up a couple of times, the idea of what economic development is, how it works. And just to put it in context of the Economic Development Commission that you have, which as you are aware is a small budget to which we did propose some cuts this year because of the situation into which additional cuts have been made. That it's a pretty small budget that we've tried to leverage into initiatives that will build prosperity in the short term for people who are already here. And to put that in a little context, we've heard some talk about the mill, which is of course a huge project, but that is a 10, 11, 12-year project, however long it ends up taking. In that meantime, the way to attract people, be they businesses or homeowners, is to have an attractive community. And there's a lot of back work that needs to be done. The 25 grand a year that we were allotted last year, that is a small amount. But it is what it is. That commission has done their best to leverage those funds. We've used them as seed funds for grant money. It is of course true that we would like to build the grand list, but in the kind of economy that we live in, high quality jobs come from tech companies, from a lot of kinds of companies that would bypass a community like this based on what the education system looks like, what the infrastructure system looks like. So with the resources that we have, we are trying to leverage those as best we can. I know there is a lot of impatience over, we don't have businesses coming into the area. There's not going to be a lot of movement of large businesses into any area right now. So some of what we are trying to do is help people monetize their own properties in their own time to build prosperity for the people who are here. And that is also slow, but what we are hoping is that it is faster than the buildup of the large mill project. So I hope that's illuminating as to the way that EDC is approaching the issues right now, because I know there have been some questions about it.
Thank you, Tira.
And I'm happy to take any actual questions as well.
I was going to say, if anyone else has any questions, they can enter their name into the chat platform and we'll call on them. I'll give it a little bit more just in case someone is having trouble getting their name in there. Renee Waldron has a question.
Renee, you're unmuted.
Thanks, Amy. It is really, and I hope it's appropriate. I think this has been a great platform and I've loved the way you've handled it, but I just wanted to respond to the EDC comments. Tara did a great job illuminating what we're trying to do. From the beginning of the initiation of the branding committee, members of the Board of Ed, members of the Board of Finance, members of the Board of the Planning and Zoning Board, all the boards across were invited to the table. There were actually 2 Board of Finance members who were appointed. And we all have busy lives. Ask my husband and all the committees I'm on. But the branding committee has not been a priority for many of those members. And I've said it at a couple of our public presentations, which I think went very well. We had good response to them, that we're working with a 5-person board. And so those folks who have stepped up tonight to say that they would participate are welcome. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Renee. If anyone has a question, they can enter their name into the chat platform. All right. It seems like things have quieted down in the chat platform. Someone just made a comment, but it's not a question. So if anyone wants to put a question in the chat platform, then they'll be called upon to ask their question. Okay, then it seems like things have quieted down in the chat platform as far as people putting their names in to ask questions. That does appear to be the case. So I guess this is the going once, going twice, going 3 times section of this hearing. Sort of last call. If anyone has a question, this is your chance to put your name into the chat platform, and we'd be happy to call on you. Okay. I don't know if we're legally required to take a motion to adjourn because it's a public hearing, but I guess maybe we'll take a belt and suspenders approach to this because it can't hurt if we do. Because this is a Board of Finance public hearing, I can't imagine that anyone would fault us for officially doing a motion to adjourn. So among Board of Finance members, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
I'll second.
So Rhonda, it sounds like you've got the motion.
Yes.
Broadband, Board of Finance, I'll second.
Okay, great. So before I take the vote, I just want to say I want to thank everyone who attended. After this hearing, there will be a final budget meeting of the Thompson Board of Finance on June 1st for the purpose of officially adopting the Thompson's fiscal year 20 to 21 budget and setting the mill rate. So thank you and have a good night. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstained? Okay, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful night.